everyone, it's Anjalina again, and we're back with Molly talking about spices, of course. Okay, so last week we ran through some of the store cupboard spices that I use, and that I hope that you have gone out and gotten some as well, because today I'm going to show you a really easy way to incorporate those spices into something really enriching, warming, at the same time cooling, and it's perfect for any time of the year, especially since we need to work on our immunity, which is something that is really, really important in these times. So what we're doing today is a sort of, I like to call it a tea, even though there isn't any actual tea in it. So this is not, there's no caffeine at all in this, but it's like a spiced milk, okay? So what it's great for is it's amazing to have in the morning if you don't have such a voracious appetite and you want to spark your agni a little bit. This is great as a pre-breakfast, or even as a breakfast sometimes I take it. Also for the evening time when you have that bit of a slump, it's really nice as a pick-me-up in a healthy way. So we don't need caffeine for that actually. What we need is spices, okay? So I'm going to run through a little bit about what I have, and then we're going to talk about each spice on its own individually. So I'm going to show you, if we can just get a slight close-up of this. Let's see if we can. The spices that I'm using today, okay? So we've got some ground cardamom. We have some fennel seeds. We have a little bit of black pepper, because this is very important. Some cinnamon, some saffron strands, and of course some fresh ginger. Okay, so these are it may seem like a lot, but these are the spices that we're going to need for this, and you can chop and change depending on your mood, depending what you want from these spices as well, and we're going to talk about that as well in a second. So the base of this milk is obviously any milk that you generally use. I'm using almond milk, but any plant-based milk or even regular cow's milk is fine. So we're going to start by warming up the milk first. So I've got my milk going in there. This will be for a good cup of milk, a good cup of tea for yourself, and you can just double the quantity as you go. And with that, I'm just going to use a little bit of water, just so that it's not too heavy, okay? So we've got that, and let that come to a sort of simmer. While that's happening, what I like to do is I already start to like infuse this milk with the spices. So I've got fresh ginger here. You can use powdered ginger, it does have different properties to it. However, I like to have some fresh ginger in my tea. Now the thing with ginger is that it's definitely a very warming component of this milk, or of anything really. So ginger is great to add into anything. I use ginger first thing in the morning upon waking with some lemon, and that really sparks the agni and gets it going right away. But I also like to incorporate it in my milks and my teas, just because it's extremely detoxifying, okay? So this is a very, very key component of this milk. So I just like to grate it directly in there with the skin on. You don't have to worry about peeling the skin at all, especially if you buy a good quality organic ginger, because who's got time to peel ginger? Really, I don't think we have that much time. So I think this is a fair amount. Again, very personalized. Do it the way that you feel works for you. I like to put quite a bit of ginger in my tea. So there we have some ginger going in there. Okay, then, so what we're doing is we are infusing this milk with all the spices. We're not adding it in at the last minute and then pouring it out. We need to give it a little bit of time. This is why I like to light a candle, put some lovely music on, and it just sets the tone, and you're imbibing such good vibrations into what you are consuming, which is really, really important. So the ginger's gone in. Next I'm going to put in some cardamom. Okay, now the cardamom is a great digestive, it's extremely refreshing, and as I said, it is a mood enhancer. It automatically sets the pace, it puts you in a good mood, it really lifts you up. So I'm going to put in about half a teaspoon of ground cardamom. You can use the cardamom pod if you like, and throw it directly in there. What I do is take a bunch of cardamom and I grind it in my coffee grinder, and it's good to go, and I have some ready all the time. So that's a good tip. Right, what else do I want to put in? So I want to put in some cinnamon. Now, cinnamon, as you know, is a very warming spice. Okay, so you might think, why is she adding cinnamon in the middle of summer? Well, we have a lot of different spices that will offset each other and balance each other out, right? So in this case, cinnamon gives it's that sweet tone. What it does is it regulates the blood sugar levels as well, so that's really important for us. And it's balancing. It's also great for circulation. So what happens in summer sometimes is that, you know, our bodies tend to swell up a little bit, circulation gets a little bit difficult. So this cinnamon really helps us to kickstart our circulation. So I'm putting in about half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And again, if you don't have ground cinnamon, you can throw in a cinnamon stick. That's absolutely fine too. Then, one of my favorite things are fennel seeds. Now, fennel seeds are an extremely amazing digestive. We've spoken about this before. They're very cooling on the system. They're great for when pitta is high and the sun is high and you're sweating it out. It really cools you down, even after a meal. So it's a great balance, the cinnamon with the fennel. This will offset the heat of the cinnamon and give it some cooling elements to this. So there's about, again, half a teaspoon in there. So let's just say for a cup of milk, you're using half a teaspoon of everything. But again, you can chop and change, you can add things, you can take things away, and that's absolutely fine. And then what I'm going to put in here is a little bit of black pepper. Now you might wonder why I'm putting black pepper in the middle of summer, because it is quite heaty. But I feel like it is, I'm a kapha type, so I do need that extra hit of heat within my system. So I feel that that really helps me to get my Agni going. And also, you know, it cuts through mucus, it cuts through congestion, and we can suffer from these things even in the summertime. And let's think about this as a tea that we can have all year round as well. So come autumn, winter, when things change, we are, you know, sort of faced with all the seasonal flus, this is something that will really, really help us. So that's the black pepper that's gone in there. And last but not least, I've got our trustworthy saffron. Now, saffron is a wonder spice. It's gorgeous. It smells divine. You automatically know how wonderful it is going to be. It's fantastic for the immune system. Let's say that for me, saffron is probably the key ingredient for your immune system, along with turmeric. So a couple of strands can go in there. We don't want to overdo it with the saffron. It's just wonderful, and it kind of holds everything together. Saffron is great for the skin. It's wonderful for the hair. It will give you that all around glow. And we just have to stir that up. If I can have that, thank you. We just have to stir this wonderful milk or tea gently so that it gets lovely and infused with all these beautiful spices. And all we need to do is bring this to the boil once, and that's pretty much it. We don't want to overdo it. We don't want to overcook the milk or the spices. It's on a gentle heat, and we just keep stirring that slowly. Okay? So once that comes to the boil, then we can just turn that off and we can serve it up. Now, a few suggestions for this. You might be asking me if you would want to add something sweet, a sweet taste to this, a sweetener. You're very welcome to do so. My suggestions would be to add a little bit of coconut sugar. You can even, what you could do is you can blend the milk with one date, and then you can warm the milk up with the spices. So that's another way to get your sweetness in there. And another sweetener I like is maple syrup, but definitely a pure maple syrup with this, an organic one. So these are your options for sweeteners there. Although I feel like you don't really need it, because the spices themselves, especially the cinnamon, will give you, the cinnamon and the cardamom actually, will give you these beautiful sweet undertones. And that really works well for something like this. So you won't miss the sweetness at all. And as I said, you can use many different plant-based milks or any milk of your choice. And the other thing I wanted to say was that if you feel that you need to add a little bit of caffeine to this, feel free to do so if you're having this in the morning or anytime before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, okay? After that, I would recommend that you don't add any. So a teaspoon of black tea leaves would go well with this, or a teaspoon of coffee as well. And it sets off, it's sort of, because caffeine is quite acid, it's quite drying for the body. So you can definitely add your caffeine to this because the spices will help to balance that out. So that's absolutely okay. So we're just gonna, now this is almost up to the boil and it smells divine. I wish you could smell this. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the reason I wanted to show you this today was because I think that it's such an easy way to start incorporating spices into your everyday life, because you know, we all like a lovely cup of tea or a spiced milk like this, and this can be your tea for the day. You can have this in the afternoon, you can have this in the morning, and you know, it's something that you will feel will be a staple of your everyday routine. And it definitely is for me. I mean, I think it really helps me a lot. And you also might be asking why I haven't added any turmeric in this. Well, this is simply a spiced tea. Now, when we add that touch of turmeric, it becomes golden milk, right? So we can definitely change it up. We can add that touch of turmeric, that's absolutely fine. But be very mindful that when you're looking for something anti-inflammatory, like the cure, which would be turmeric and all the other spices, we need to take out the black pepper from that, because black pepper is what really gets the system going, revs it up even more. So we may not be looking for that at this time. It's not necessary that you have to have turmeric and black pepper together, okay? It really depends on what you need at that time. So if we're having this in winter and you have a bit of a cold, then definitely add black pepper with the turmeric in there for sure. Don't even need to worry about the black pepper if we're in the middle of summer and you need something that's just calming. Okay, so now that is almost there, and simply serve it up as it is. I don't even need to worry about sieving it because I like to have the fennel seeds in my mouth. I like to chew on them. As I said, a great digestive. Okay, so let me just give that a little bit of a stir there. And it just smells absolutely gorgeous. So if we can get a close-up of that milk now, and we can see all the beautiful spices. I wish you could smell this right now. It smells absolutely divine. It really does. And if you like, you can also let it be and let it come down to a temperature which is more suitable for you. It doesn't need to be piping hot. In fact, it shouldn't be. So I often make this in the morning and then go and do my meditation practice or yoga breathing, any pranayama, anything would be good while this cools down a little bit. And once you're done with that, then you can enjoy this in its best form. So that's now come to the boil, and I'm going to serve that now and just show you how that looks in my cup. Okay, so I can turn off the heat, and right away I can just serve that. Perfect. Perfect spiced tea for one. I'll see you next week. Enjoy.